Welcome back, y'all, to another episode of Beyond the Flow Live, where we talk about real healing, real conversations, but most importantly, real change. It's your healthy habits and lifestyle coach, Giovanni, host of the Empire Plates, Empire Lives podcast. And I'm here with
Destiny Marie of Black Milk Bank 2 Incorporated.
y'all. So today, this month is Adenomyosis Awareness Month, and it's April at the time of this recording. And so I just want to start off by asking y'all a quick question. Do you feel like your pain never fully goes away, or does it just get quieter? Like it's always there, but just different levels. Do you feel like your pain ever fully goes away? What you got, Destiny Marie?
I feel like my symptoms never fully go away. But I guess to answer the question, I think my pain just goes kind of quiet because there's days where I can have pain-free days, but that doesn't mean that my back's not hurting or my legs aren't hurting. I'm not nauseous. My head's not hurting. So pain, yeah, definitely can go quiet, but there's always something. Like there's always a symptom. I'm not going to have 100% completely no endometriosis symptom day. I don't even know what that means.
Yes, and I'll put the question icebreaker on the chat too. Does your pain ever fully go away, or does it just get quieter? Like always there, or just at different levels? And I'm gonna have to go with it actually has gone away from me. I've had some pretty much like really good pain free days, and I've had a lot more pain-free days than I've ever had once I really started to change my lifestyle and be consistent and just kind of learn things along the way. But like I have bowel movements where they're not always painful anymore. And I used to always have painful bowel movements. The low back pain, I've had days when I didn't have low back pain, weeks sometimes without low back pain, but the low back pain does sometimes creep back on and have that experience. So I agree with you. There's times when things get quiet, or there's times when it's not there at all, or there's times when it's consistent. And so my question for you all, or our question for you all is, does your pain ever fully go away? Maybe were you someone who always lived in chronic pain? You just had pain every single day. It never gets quiet. It never goes away. Or maybe it went away and it was only there for a certain time or a certain period of time. So let us know in the comments. And if you've always had that constant pain, drop constant in the comments and let us know.
I can definitely say before I got diagnosed, like there's definitely we have a TikTok comment saying that she's hearing feedback. I can definitely say prior to my diagnosis and then also prior to me being proactive with my health, yeah, that was like an everyday thing. But as I've gotten older and been more aware, I have more quiet days. Still symptoms, but still have quiet days.
And I feel like the awareness means that you're actually listening to your body. You're more in tune. And I do feel like a diagnosis or debilitating pain, when you realize some of these things aren't normal at all, and you see other people who are experiencing chronic pain, heavy periods, you really start listening and tuning in on a different level. Like you really become almost hyper aware, in certain aspects, Destiny Marie. And I think that's a big thing. Let's see. Crystal with the case said, yep, my pain has gone away completely before. That's what I'm talking about. Love to hear it. Did you get it fixed over there?
I see why. Can you let us know if you're still hearing feedback?
All right. So adenomyosis awareness month. Adenomyosis, I just want to briefly break it down. So adenomyosis means that the inside lining of your uterus starts growing into the muscle of your uterus. That's why that pain feels so debilitating and like it never goes away. So your uterus is just working harder than it's supposed to. And because of that, your body doesn't get to fully break each month. And that's why that pain doesn't just come and go. It's constant. It feels like it's always there. I had a client one time, Destiny Marie, that used to bleed 14 to 21 days every menstrual cycle. And there was a time where she felt pain, debilitating pain every day, not just when her cycle came on. And lo and behold, after advocating for her healthcare, experiences, having a procedure, she was diagnosed with adenomyosis, and she had been struggling with painful periods and debilitating pain since she was young, very, very young. And so I just really was able to start to see so many different adenomyosis journeys of strength, and where that pain could go from bleeding 14 to 21 days to something where they're bleeding only 5 days and barely seeing that constant pain, where the pain just gets really, really quiet and the flows get lighter and they get better. And I think I just want to make sure that those adenomyosis thrivers out there know that it's possible to feel better, even if it's just a day, a few days, weeks. Things can happen. Have you ever felt like, I think, have you ever felt like you were so overwhelmed, Destiny Marie, that you don't think that anything would ever change?
Most definitely. Obviously life sucks sometimes. But having a chronic illness where there's no cure, you kind of have to get from a mindset of, oh my goodness, there's no cure. What the heck am I going to do for the rest of my life? Versus, okay, I have this chronic illness. There is no cure. What are the things that I can do to mitigate and alleviate some of my pain?
And I think there's power in that. It's power in the thought of what can I do to mitigate that pain. I was speaking to someone earlier before this call that's going to be a guest on the Empowered Plates and Empowered Lives podcast, and he was really talking about making meaning and purpose around the experiences. Like, life, inevitably, you're going to go through pain, you're going to go through challenges and hardships, but how do you provide meaning and purpose behind it all? And I think that's a huge perspective shift for people who already say, okay, I'm diagnosed with a chronic condition, there's no cure. What can I do to still make life enjoyable? What can I do to still see positivity and empowerment through life? And that's the whole reason why we're here today, right, Destiny Marie? Black women feel pain too, for vibrations. We had to create some form of personal movement through our pain, and to get purpose out of all of this, to then want to be able to help other people. And I think that's a big thing, because like you said, there's no cure, and that cure could really make someone feel depressed and hopeless. But there's so much hope, and there's still so much power within owning your story and navigating your healing journey, because there's so much more to you than just the chronic conditions and the symptoms that your body is communicating to you. And so I'm really glad that we kind of talked about that and reminded the people of that. Why do you feel like you ever feel just like tired and you can't get enough rest?
Oh, absolutely. 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 Yeah, I had to cut that off. I'm sorry. Um, Fatigue is one of my top 3 symptoms, I would say. Fatigue isn't for me, I don't wanna say it's an all month symptom during the cycle, but definitely during that ovulation and then that luteal phase, that fatigue just goes crazy. I can remember in middle school and high school when I first started my period, just the fatigue. I think the fatigue back then was more than the fatigue that I experienced as an adult. Because and I would say maybe probably in college too, there would be days where what is waking up? We need to wake up and then we need to go right back to sleep.
Mm.
Like, we need to go right back to sleep, or there would be days where I'm sleeping for 14, 15, 16 hours because I'm just literally that exhausted. But I feel like people don't always know the difference between just being tired and having fatigue, because those are definitely 2 different things. We all know what being tired is. Like, we all get tired of something, someone, or just tired from the work day or the school day or whatever life is having for you that day. But fatigue is like on the opposite end of the spectrum. It's like me, what I just said. I waking up and you're still absolutely exhausted, or you're more tired before you went to sleep or took your nap, or what it is, or you're sleeping for 13, 14, 15, 16, 20 hours at a time because your body is just that exhausted. And I don't think people realize that fatigue is it can't be a symptom of something, whether that's stress or that's an underlying condition like endometriosis. But if you're paying attention to your body and your cycle, and then when this fatigue is happening, those are things that you can take with you to your doctor's appointment, saying, "Hey, during my luteal phase, these are the symptoms that I'm presenting," and you can present fatigue as one of those.
I agree. And I'm really glad that you broke it down. What is fatigue? It's not just because I'm tired, but being at the point where you've gotten quality rest, 8, 9, 10 hours, and still waking up drained and unable to just perform the daily habits that you are able to, or daily habits, daily routines, your patterns. And I feel like that's a big thing. And I see it in my students too. I don't feel like fatigue was a big thing for me. It wasn't one of my main or major symptoms or top symptoms for me, but I've seen and heard how has impacted so many other people firsthand. And so I feel like that's really big. Something else I wanted to say is that pain takes energy, stress takes energy,
Mhm.
tension takes energy. So if your body is doing all of this extra work, even when you're sitting still, laying down, you're going to always still feel heavy, slow, worn out, because that stress, that tension, that fatigue, that lack of being able to truly reset, your body's never going to get where it needs to get to be able to thrive. And you're going to stay in that state of survival mode. And so I'm really glad that we kind of talked about that when it came to fatigue, because it's a real thing, it's a real issue, and it really does stop people from being able to show up for a lot of the things that they would like to do in life, and it stops them. And I don't think that's good. But like you said, it's a underlining way of your body communicating that something is off. It could be adenomyosis, it could be endometriosis, it could be a plethora of things,
Right.
because that fatigue is your body's way of communicating that it's in a fight or flight mode. There's some form of stress, or that inflammation that your body's just in is just really wreaking havoc, and your body is unable to show up the way it needs to show up. And so it's worth doing some investigating and really figuring out what's happening. And I think you hit a really good tip too, Marie, by saying when that fatigue is showing up. Is it always showing up when your menstrual cycle's on? Is it showing up every single day? When is it happening?
Mhm.
How is it happening? Maybe what patterns are you in when you're there? Are you in a push through pattern? Are you in an all or nothing pattern? Are you in a I'm wired pattern and I can't stop and I just got to keep going, going, going? Like, what patterns are kind of showing up for you in regards to the behaviors that might also be triggering those times when that fatigue is on an all-time high? And so I'm really glad that we kind of broke into that.
Yeah. Yeah, I didn't even realize that, so when I was in high school, I started suffering from insomnia real bad. And then as I navigated through college and then after college, it kind of subsided a little bit, but I still had it. But it wasn't until I was talking to an OBGYN and I was talking about my insomnia. And then I was like, but I remember saying specifically, I said, it always comes in like episodes, like it comes and it goes and it's here and sometimes it's not. And he was like, do you think it could be hormonal? And I just looked at him and I was like, oh my gosh, he might be right. Oh my gosh. So you never realize like what type of symptoms that you are having until like there's just like that light bulb moment. It's like, oh yeah, this does happen when my period's about to start or when my period is on. So it goes back to the being aware of your body and always being proactive and listening to your body when your body is screaming something at you, just like the fatigue or the insomnia. If you're noticing certain things that are happening to you around that luteal phase and or that menstrual phase, those are things that you need to be taking seriously and documenting. And then once it gets to a point where you have enough documentation, you need to be going to go talk to somebody about it.
I agree. And I like that you talked about your body screaming. Your body's going to whisper before it screams. And so
Yes.
you probably were ignoring the whispers, pushed it off, focus on all these other things, prioritize all these other things, or not even recognize that your body was whispering to you before it starts to scream. And when it screams, all of a sudden you start getting in a panic mode, and then you're just reaching for any and everything to try to wrap your mind around what's actually happening, what's going on. But there's so much power in what you just said, Destiny Marie, in knowing what is triggering and what is happening in your life
Mhm.
when these things start to arise, and then making sure that you communicate those things to the people that matter most, especially your healthcare providers or any trusted people in your support system, so they are aware and they know what's happening, so they can help advocate for you, or even do a little research themselves and try to say, do you notice that you're always moody around this time? Or do you notice that, you can't go to sleep when it's maybe this phase of your cycle, or when this event has happened? And so I think that's really powerful. And just like you said, if you didn't have that conversation about insomnia with your OBGYN, you would have never made the connection that it could potentially be hormonal. I had that same issue for me in April of 2019. I thought it was food poisoning. I just felt sick. I was nauseous, had horrible pain. And I never once thought that because my cycle was on, it would relate to my cycle at all, until it happened again in August. And I was in that debilitating pain, almost cost me my
Mhm.
life, had to go to the ER. And again, my cycle was on. Would have never made that connection. I'm just thinking this pain is coming from out of nowhere. What is
Yeah,
going on with my body? What's wrong? Did I eat something? Is something messing up my stomach? Is this about to be a bad case of the runs, diarrhea? Like, what is happening? And the whole time that link was to my cycle. My cycle, what was going on with my body's changes at the time was in my menstrual cycle. And that led to the healthcare providers being able to say, okay, well, it could potentially be endometriosis. Well, we're going to do some scans, and we see that you have a large cyst on your right ovary. Now there's a ruptured cyst. So you got endometriosis, adenomyosis, polycystic ovarian syndrome, and then two small fibroids by the time they go in and see what all was happening inside of my body. And that's a lot. And so if you're
yeah,
unable to truly be that aware and that detailed with what's going on in your life, you won't be able to make certain connections. But if you're communicating these things and sharing this with other people, or documenting that journey in some way, shape, form, or fashion, that could be some really powerful things that can really help turn your life around.
I agree wholeheartedly.
Yes, ma'am. But that's all I really have, Des Marie. Is there anything that you wanted to share? Crystal with a case said, yep, my pain has gone away completely before. Let's go. Let's go.
Awareness is
Awareness is
powerful.
powerful. That it is. That it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. But no, I don't have anything else to add. I think this was great tonight.
It was. And shout out to all my adenomyosis thrivers. Again, if you do not have a diagnosis, but you know your periods are very heavy, there's debilitating pelvic pain. And I mean, in that abdominal walls, like the pelvic pain just won't let up, whether your cycle's on, when it's not on. Make sure that you're documenting your symptoms, and make sure you're talking to people about it. Don't just type it in to Google and just try to see all the different things that could be happening, because it could be a whole bunch of different things. It might not even be adenomyosis. Sometimes people get misdiagnosis with endometriosis and it's adenomyosis. There's so much
Mhm.
education and learning that's being happening, and ways that they're trying to test and really see. We always say that the gold standard is excision surgery, but there's other procedures that might be able to show what's happening in your uterus, or that muscle wall of that uterus, to see if you potentially might have adenomyosis. But pain is not normal. That's the whole thing. Fatigue is not normal. Pain is not normal, and you definitely shouldn't be having fatigue and pain every single day. So do whatever it is that you need to do to advocate for your health, and really investigate to figure out what is really going on, so you can make some changes. So remember, it ain't constant, it shouldn't be there, but it's your healthy habits and lifestyle coach, Giovanni. Head to the show notes. I want you to go to forvibrations.me. Take the quiz. Take the Spot Your Triggers quiz. I really want to help you identify where in your lifestyle, where in your routines, your behaviors, your patterns, are you stuck in survival mode that could potentially be fueling your inflammation, your pelvic pain, your fatigue, and making you just feel so overwhelmed about the one body that you were given in this thing called life. So take the quiz, and then book your healing breakthrough session if you really want to identify what that next step could look like for you to really start changing your life. Head over to forwardvibrations.me. All the information is in the show notes. Destiny Marie, what you got for the people?
And then once you leave over there, you go to www.blackwomenfeelpain2.com. We have a ton of resources on our website, blog posts. You can go to our shop page and download our symptom tracker. So as we're talking about this insomnia, as we're talking about this fatigue, and we're talking about this pelvic pain, you have something tangible that you can write down and take with you to these doctor's appointments. So head over to our website, check out our blog posts, and then check out our resources tab also.
Don't forget to tune in to the Empire Place, Empire Lives podcast. I forgot about that, y'all. It's your healthy habits and lifestyle coach, Giovanni. Destiny Marie with Black Women Feel Pain Too. It's been another amazing episode of Beyond the Flow Live. Thanks for vibing with us, y'all.
Good night.